of Cricket 19 squads. As I've said many times previously, I have devoted a lot of time pre-pandemic to updating squads for Cricket 19. I did it for previous versions, and what we're looking at is the best players for each test playing nation in cricket history. So I've done over 1,000 players I've created. I've lifted some from the academy, but most of them I've created myself. Of anyone who's played more than say 5 tests, I've put them in here. So this is Australia. I've done, and you'll find on the channel a lot of the ones I've done before, like Australia 2010s and all the way down. Another time I'll do special teams, like specific era teams that were for some reason or another significant. As you can see, I've got here pretty much everybody. Well, not pretty much, I have everyone. For every test playing nation. So if I picked out, say for example, West Indies have a lot of great teams, as you can imagine. I'm being slightly biased. But if I choose West Indies 1980, for example, you'll see all the greats there. But you won't see Viv Richards in the 70s, even though he did play in the 70s as well. As did Greenwich, as did Holding. Yep, they'll go in where I feel they fit best for their career. And if you think they're weak in the 70s, you'd be mistaken, because the 70s are loaded. Lloyd played in the 80s, but he played in the majority of his career in the 70s. Alvin Kallik-Charan, I mean, I'll do this another day, but Andy Roberts, they're not weak. Lawrence Clark probably should be in the 80s, but because he did start in the 70s, I put him in the 70s, he really should be in the 80s. In fact, I probably should move him right now. Because Clark, sadly no longer with us, one of the most fearsome bowlers, in terms of intimidation anyway, should be in the 80s, mainly because of his county cricket. So, bye-bye, Sylvester. Just doing it while I'm on it. Don't mean to do this one today, but the problem is he won't now get into this side. But that's life. There, so he fits in. He's in the 80s. I mean, that's some side. I think I've got 2 Viv Richards, you know. No, I haven't. I just haven't done the lineups. Right, I digress. Apologies. Let's get back onto what I was doing, which was Australia 1920s. So, within the 1920s, Australia do have a legendary side, by the way, which is the 2021 side. So a lot of those players in that side, you're going to find in here. Not everyone, but they will be in here. So let's start very quickly. And I'll do my best to try and recall. I'm not looking at any books at the moment. You know, I've obviously read over the years and since I was a teenager, really. And I'm a grown man now. I've been reading about cricket, hearing stories, watching documentaries. So some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. Let's see what sticks. Jack Gregory was one of the was one of the well-known partnerships, fast bowling partnerships, probably the earliest that Australia have had. McDonald and Gregory is the other one. McDonald and there's Gregory. The difference is Gregory could bat, McDonald less so. So Jack Gregory is the #1 player in terms of overall ability in the side itself. So, you know, it's not great to everything, but he was a fast bowler. So on a fast track, it's going to cause some damage. And if you've got Gregory and McDonald coming against you, you've got your hands cut out. You've got your hands full. Cut out, they'll cut your hands out, yeah. Here's another batsman I do like, Bill Ponsford. Ponsford as another person that had a partnership with Bill Woodfull, the 2 Bills. Woodford and Ponsford, or Ponsford and Woodfull, were the opening bats in the Bodyline series against England in the famous 1930-31 series, I think it is. And one of them was captain. I can't remember which one, but I will tell you now. It was Woodfull. Bill Woodfull was captain, and he had some colourful things to say in that series against England in 1930-31. But he's in the 1920s side. They got another player called Jack Ryder, who I don't know what happened to Jack Ryder. Something specific happened to him, but he was certainly a leading light of the time itself. He will score some runs for you. Got Herbert Collins, an excellent opening bat for the side. Ted McDonald, like I mentioned, an excellent fast bowler. And then you get one of the stars and legends of Australian cricket. Not to say that the others aren't well known, but not like this one, Clarry Grimmett. I once watched a documentary when Clarry Grimmett was an old man then, like in his 80s. And it was an old documentary from like the 1970s. I watched it on YouTube. It was like I think it was the 100-year celebration of the Ashes. So if you can find that somewhere, it's quite nice because you see him getting off a plane. He's an old man. But I've heard stories of Richie Benaud, who was in the 1950 squad in this squad's episodes. When Richie Benaud was a commentator, he talked about Clarry Grimmett all the time. So he must have been a hero of Richie Benaud, because he always talked about Tiger O'Reilly and Clarry Grimmett. But Clarry Grimmett, if I remember correctly, was a left leg spinner. Yeah, there he is, LS. Excellent player, excellent. So, look forward to using him. Vic Richardson, and what is famous for me is that he did play in the Bodyline series, 30-31, but he's also the Chappell brothers from the 1970s, their grandfather. They call him Vic, which is quite funny. And if you look at a picture of Vic Richardson closely, you can see the resemblance of his two grandsons. That was one of the things I learned very early on when I was learning about cricket, that Vic Richardson was Greg Chappell's and Ian Chappell's and Trevor Chappell's granddaddy. Not the best of Test cricketers, but a decent cricketer. And from what Ian Chappell says, he tells a lot of anecdotes that his grandfather Vic used to tell him. It's quite funny to hear. Then you've got Arthur Richardson. I don't think they're related, as I don't recall, who also was a decent player. Looking at his stats, look at his ratings and what I remember doing with him, Arthur Richardson was a decent player. Got Johnny Taylor, a bit dark. Then Arthur Maley, who was a very good leg spinner, or off spinner, yeah, leg spinner, before Grimmett. But Grimmett come on the scene, and Maley and Grimmett, I think, did play together. They must have. But Maley was also quite a well-known player at the time. Would have been a star of his day, but not Clarry. He's obviously not Clarry Grimmett, is he? Then you got Ron Oxenham, good, what do you call it, all-rounder. Then you've got a player who looks like a good batsman. I don't know too much about. I've read about him. I need to reread him. He hasn't stuck in my mind. But I do know that one of the stadiums in Australian cricket has a Kippax stand. So that must be named after Alan Kippax. I don't remember any specific exploits about him, other than his test average must have been in the 40s because of rating of 85. Got Clarence Pellew. I remember doing him on another version of the game. He wouldn't recognise his name for some strange reason, but he was a decent batsman. Tommy Andrews, Percy Hornbrook, nothing to note about them, but the next two players are quite famous in Australian cricket. Now, Bert Ironmonger has an outstanding test average, but he didn't play a lot of tests. He was a big guy. He was known as Dainty, which I like. Dainty Ironmonger. Now, we've had an update on the game recently, and in the West Indies team, as any cricketer fan will know, is hang on, Raheem Cornwall. If you don't know who Cornwall is, he's a rather large, nothing wrong with being large, I'm a big guy. I like him actually, he's quite a good bowler. Now I'm trying to find which team he's in. I've messed around with his team so much, I don't even have a West Indies team. Oh, here we are, that'll do. I forgot it's updated, isn't it? So, Caribbean Premier League, 100 other. He's in one of these, so I'm just fine. Spare me a moment, let me find him. Internationals. Here. I'm sure he's in here somewhere. Right, so here they've just updated the face scans, you see. They've got Jason Holder, Kieran Pollard, Kevin Roach. These are my boys at the moment. They've constantly let me down. But here he is. Raheem Cornwall. Massive. So you can see he's quite big. You couldn't get them that big before, but because Cornwall does exist, maybe they've changed the sliders. So I'm going to go back into edit mode, Cricket Academy, player creator, manage male players, and I'm going to go and see if I can make Ironmonger a little bigger. His name is Dainty, so it's quite funny. Got two Ironmongers, but they're the same. Oh no, they're not. One's rated a little higher. That Ironmonger there can go. He's taking up space. And we'll stick with this Ironmonger, who's in both teams, right? Let's see. Can we make him bigger? No. Stomach, maybe. Yes. He's definitely bigger. But not big like my boy. He's definitely getting bigger. Nah, he'll never be like Raheem. Who's a one-off scan, maybe. Anyway. There you go, Dainty. So that's Dainty Ironmonger. Look him up. Not the best fieldsman from what I can see, 51. I might have been harsh. He's the lowest I've ever seen, actually. So maybe I've been very harsh. Yes, I probably have. Still, that's not the greatest rating in the world. I'll just share that with the Academy. Bear me a moment, an update. He's been downloaded 42 times. So someone's liking Dainty somewhere of my database. What do you think about it? There's thousands of people that love cricket. Cricket 19 must sell loads of games. I'm honoured that someone would even think to download anything I create. And over the years, people have been, and it's nice to see a name on the internet. Not my name, but the name. By the way, well, I know I'm doing Australia 20s. Here is my team I used, by the way. On the Planet Cricket, it was a brilliant, absolutely wonderful. I don't know why we didn't do more. Waste to Youth, the user, created a tournament. It was a T20 tournament, and he did it brilliantly on Excel. Draft, we had a draft. He had a certain amount of money to spend. I mean, it was superb. One of the most fun things I've ever done in any game, and I love gaming. Anyone who knows me personally knows I love games. This might have been the best because I bet against lots of other people, about 20 of us maybe. Did a draft, and what I did was I didn't know much about T20 at the time. It was only a year ago, so it tells you how far I've come with T20 because I just wasn't interested. I'm a purist, but I've been converted. Fire in Babylon was the name I gave the team, and I based it around the West Indians, thinking that no one would know what I thought I knew. Just a quick one on this one. Fire in Babylon had Jason Holder, who is the #1 all-round in the world. He barely got a chance with me. Barely. Vernon Philander was still around, still alive. Vernon Philander was one of the best fast bowlers of the 2000s. Just to show you that my knowledge was rubbish, Vernon didn't actually play for me after the first game. And at the last, when I got to the final, for some reason I brought him back. And of course, Vernon didn't play well because I was thinking of his Test cricket reputation more than I was of his ability to play. And also, I think Vernon lost a bit of pace. Yeah, look at the bowling speed. Waste to Use made him, and we went along with his ratings. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, we'll swing it. But we never prepared the pitches for him. I had Labuschagne, I mentioned in another video. Marnus did exceptionally well for me. Kane Williamson was a disappointment, but we got to the finals, so I can't complain. Now that Kane Williamson is scanned over my original Kane Williamson. Michael Mitchell-Starc, excellent throughout that tournament. The Universe Boss, this was an outstanding player. Now that's the scan version, my original version was there, but obviously the scan updates it. So the one that was there before was actually quite a good scan. Someone had done it, I think Waste to Youth. It's pretty good. Kieran Pollard did all right for me. Chris Gale, by the way, going back, did really well, and we were winning the final by a long shot. I mean, we were so comfortable, and he ran himself out. And we lost it. Oh my God, talk about throwing the game away. We shot us, they must have been bribed. We lost that game. I was gutted, actually. Brilliant tournament. Shai Hope. Rassie van der Dussen. My South African star. So I love this team, and I think they're missing a trick with Cricket 19 because I think they'll get there eventually, another version. If we can play what we did, if you can play against an opponent who's on YouTube, then you or Zoom or whatever, I'm sure you can hook it up. Well, we did it when we picked our side, sent them to Waste to Youth, picked the picture for a home team, sent our lineups in, and then in the evening he would broadcast it. we couldn't do any tactics or anything, but the whole tactical thing was about the pitch selection, team selection, the order you put. That's as far as you could go. And we'd all crowd. This is during the height of the pandemic, by the way. And we'd all log on to his channel and just watch the games play out. It was brilliant. And just as exciting as watching real cricket. When you're the spectator, you're not actually playing the game, are you? When you're watching cricket on TV, which reminds me, I must watch the West Indies game in a minute against Australia. West Indies really cocked it up yesterday. Evan Lewis didn't play well for me, I must say. Very disappointing, Evan. Jermaine Blackwood, I didn't even give a chance to. Good scanned face there. Sonal Ambrose. Oh, this is a scanned Sonal now, so they've updated Sonal Ambrose as well. Because I had a scan, I had Waste Use version. This looks like the real Sonal Ambrose. He played all right for me. Now, Ashley Nurse, this is the version in the base, but Waste Use did it, which I use this one. But there is another version that I've got of him, and I need to change that at some point. But I don't play with this team anymore anyway. Sheldon Cottrell didn't play for me much. He's the one who does those great celebrations where he gives a salute when he takes a wicket. It's fantastic. It's funny as hell. I like him. Proper Jamaican. And Shane Dowrich never got a game. So anyway, just start digressing, aren't I? As I see stuff on here, it just comes to me. Back to the 20s. So there's our side. Let's look at the lineup. A redoubtable opening partnership with Bill Punsford and Bill Woodfull. Collins could have opened just as much. He was at the early 20s, whereas Punsford and Woodfull were in the mid-20s. Collins could have opened, but let's pull him there at number 3. Jack Ryder's an attacker at 4. Kipak's a decent batsman at 5. The Chappell's grandfather is at 6. Bert Oldfield is an outstanding wicketkeeper. West Australia, I must say, well, that's a brilliant keepers down the years. Oldfield. Clarigham is at 8. Number 9 is Jack Gregory. Number 10 is Arthur Mailey, and McDonald is there. Now, this is a good side, if only because you've got 2 pace bowlers, 2 spinners, and you've got an all-rounder in Ryder. But the pace attack is quite decent. Yeah, not bad. Not the strongest, but not bad either. These are all just vanilla uniforms. And that is where I will end this one. So if you like, if you want me to do more, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Leave any comments in the comments box, just to see someone's watching, so that I can take some feedback on, hopefully, and make some better uploads. Quite new to this. So thank you very much.